Okie dokie. All right, well, very nice. Thank you so much for joining on Monday, Mindful Flow. Since I'm now starting to practice at the library in person on Tuesday evenings, I wanted to offer another alternative to start the week for those of you that can't make the in-person or would just prefer to stay on Zoom. So here we are, and hopefully this will work out going forward. So tonight's practice is going to be sort of a mindful focus on a particular part of the body, not so much a particular posture, but we are going to be really focusing on what are called the adductors. So the adductors, basically that's your inner thigh. When you're squeezing in with the inner thigh, you are engaging the adductors. It's actually 5 muscles. All of them have fairly long names that I can't even recite off the top of my head, but it is a series of 5 muscles interconnected in the inner thighs. And this is a really important area to stay cognizant of and to strengthen, because it all ties in to the bringing your energy in toward the center channel, and therefore stabilizing along with, it's really part of your core. So your core muscles don't just stop here at your belly. They really go down into the thigh. They involve sometimes the hip flexors, the psoas, and especially these inner thighs that squeeze in together, and they make the body so much more stable and strong when you can really begin to understand how to engage them properly and how to make them stronger. So that's where we're going to focus tonight with our flow. We're going to do several postures where I'm really going to bring that attention to you. We're going to use the block as a support and as a prop to help demonstrate the squeezing action between those thighs. So to begin, let's go ahead and lay down for just a moment. Or take a second or two, a minute or two, to arrive in practice and just begin a couple of minutes of breath work. So laying all the way down, you can choose to have the knees up or the legs extended, whatever feels most relaxing to you right at the moment. And then just bring your hands either by the side, or you can bring them up to the belly. Again, just find a posture of ease that allows you to start to find your breath. And just enter the space that is your sacred practice space. Your breath can take you there. So just allow that breath to open the door. With each inhalation, feel that door opening a little wider and creating a pathway for your inner awareness. Whatever was going on in your world today, good, bad, or otherwise, see if you can leave that outside the door that you arrived in. And I guarantee you, putting it aside for an hour, if it's important, it'll still be there when you come back. Awareness of the breath bringing you into this present moment. There is no other moment except the present. So our theme for this week, spiritually and philosophically, is going to be going with the flow. And going with the flow means you have awareness of simply where you are at this moment. You can find your grounded presence in this moment. leave aside your fears and worries about what has happened or what is yet to come. So start to deepen your breath a little bit. See if you can imagine that passageway opening up behind the nostrils, down the throat, all the way into the larynx, the lungs, and fill your body with prana, life force, energy that nourishes everything you do. Let's take 3 more breaths, just like this. One more breath. All right. Whatever posture you began with for this opening few minutes, go ahead and let's extend the left leg down the mat. We're going to bend the right knee and bring the sole of the foot to the mat. Extend your right leg up. Press the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling and loop your hands around the back of your right thigh. Point the toes, flex the foot. Point the toes, flex the foot. Point the toes, flex the foot. And then circle that ankle around. Just get a little bit of movement and notice, if you will, the interconnectedness of all of the muscles and tissues just from the simple act of rolling the ankle. If your hands are behind your thigh, you can feel those connections all the way down into the hamstring. And then circle around the other direction. Maybe wiggle your toes a little as you create those circles. And then bring that leg to stillness. With that leg still extended up to the ceiling, we'll take the left hand to the outside of the right thigh, the right arm into a T off the shoulder, and just draw that right leg across to the left. So keep the leg as straight as possible and just bring it over the body, crossing over the midline, foot reaching toward the left side of the mat. Press through the heel. Feel that IT band all along the right side of the leg engage, and maybe you feel that sensation all the way up into the lower back. Nice breath here. Inhale, bring the leg back up to center. And now we're going to drop the right leg over to the right. So support that right leg with your right hand. Left hand is going to place on top of your left hip. And then just open that right leg out. Again, keep the leg nice and straight. If it needs to come more toward the front of the mat, that's okay. And just get a little stretch in the inner groin here. Feel those inner thighs start to wake up. Inhale, bring the leg back up to center. Bring the right foot down. Extend the right leg and lift the left leg up. Sole of the foot pressing up. Interlace your fingers behind the thigh. Point the left toes. Flex the foot. Point and flex. Point, flex, point, flex, and then circle the ankle around. See if you can make that circle nice and soft and slow. This isn't a race. This is about finding your awareness. Once again, feel those little connections of the tendons all the way up and down the body. Circle the other direction. And then bring that leg back to stillness. From here, we're going to bring the right hand to the outside of the left thigh and just gently guide the left leg over to the right. Nice little soft stretch coming on the left, outside of the left hip, the left IT band. The more you flex through the foot, the more you're going to feel that sensation. So breathe into the tightness. And what I mean by that is actually visualize your breath going to those tight areas. When you exhale, see if you can soften and release some of the tension out of the body. Inhale, bring the left leg back up. Right hand goes on top of the right hip, and take your left hand and just gently guide the left leg over to the left, opening up once again in the groin and inner thigh. 3 breaths here. Again, press through the heel, flex the foot. You get a little bit more sensation when you do that. And then bring that left foot back up. Raise your right leg up. Both feet are going to press up to the ceiling, but your knees are bent. Come into a nice happy baby. Just let the knees come out wide. Your hands can now slide up your calves and shins. Maybe grasp the outside of your foot if you have that space to do so. Press down through the lower back. Breathe and release your shoulders and knees straight down into the mat. Nice stretch through the inner groin here. And then bring those feet together. And let's go ahead and roll to the right side. Come on up. All right. I have one other thing, I was going to do while we were down. Go ahead, while you're up, since we're up, go ahead and grab your block. We're going to roll down and do one more thing, but we needed to grab a block anyway. So go ahead and take that block while you're still sitting. You can just place it in between your 2 thighs. So I'm just going to place it right in between the thighs. And just for a moment, go ahead and roll back down. Bring your feet about hip distance. Press down your palms on either side of the hips. And as you inhale, we're going to lift the hips up slightly off of the mat. And you're going to squeeze that block in between. So we're coming into a really low bridge pose. But we're squeezing the block so we can really feel that awareness of that area we're going to be targeting today. Keep holding the hips up off the mat. Feel the squeeze. And then release it down. Let me turn that music down a bit. Inhale, and we're going to bring the hips up off the mat again. So inhale, squeeze. These are your adductors starting to wake up and work. Pressing that block in like you're trying to make it even smaller than it is. And again, if you didn't have a block, I know Prashanti does, Shelby, if you don't have a block, you can always just put a really tight pillow or something in the center. We're just going to use it for demonstration tonight. Exhale, release the hips down. Now this time remove the block. Go ahead and set it to the side. But we're going to come into that same bridge pose, lifting up, and this time see if you can imagine or feel that squeeze with the adductors occurring even without the block in place. Nice deep inhale, exhale, and release. Bring the hips down. All right, this time go ahead and roll all the way up. Bring your block back up to the front of the mat so we'll have it handy for the rest of the practice. Let's just start off in a nice tabletop position. Wake up the back a little bit before we go any further. That's always a nice thing to do right before we get started. So let's go ahead and drop the belly down, gaze forward to cow tilt. And then with that nice deep breath, inhale, and then as you exhale, lift the back of the heart up, press the back up to the ceiling, cat stretch, just like a Halloween cat. Nice big arch, let the head just hang down. Inhale deeply for cow. Exhale for cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale, cat. One more time through. Coming back to a neutral spine after your last rotation. From our tabletop, go ahead and extend back the right foot. So the ball of the foot is going to press back into the mat. Bring your belly up, reaching the belly and the navel up toward the spine. So engage your core and then lift that right leg up. Press back through the heel. Extend that leg as if you're pressing it back, but we're keeping the rest of the body square. So you're just using the hip flexors and the glutes for this action. And then we're going to cross that leg over to the left. So crossing the straight right leg over to the left, and then glance over your left shoulder, take a peek at your toes. Bring that right leg back and down and underneath for tabletop. Left leg is going to extend back and then lift it about hip height. Press back, engage that left glute muscle and left hip flexor. I always say pretend like there's a rope around your ankle and someone is pulling it back. So you're energetically putting that force into the action. And then we're going to cross the left leg over the right. Keep it nice and straight. Glance over your right shoulder and take a look at those toes. Bring that left leg back, come back to tabletop. Let's press back, take the weight off of the shoulders for a moment and come into a full child's pose. One nice deep breath up and down the back. Tonight I will let go of all expectation in this practice and just go with the flow. One more breath. All right, slide your fingertips forward. Come back up to all fours. From our tabletop, let's go ahead and press back to a nice downward facing dog. In our first down dog of the evening, go ahead and lift the heels up nice and high. Give yourself some space. Press the sits bones up toward the ceiling. Feel your abs engage. Lift the navel up to the spine. And already here, see if you can bring awareness to those adductor muscles, those inner thighs. We're going to keep harping on that all through the practice. One more breath. All right, from our downward facing dog, go ahead and bring the right foot forward for a low runner's lunge. So if you have your 2 blocks, you typically use those for lunges. Feel free to always use blocks in a low lunge, helping to bring the mat up to you. But I want you to lift up through the pelvic region and feel those inner thighs squeezing in. Crown of the head is reaching forward. Tailbone is reaching back. One more breath here. And then bring that right foot back, downward facing dog. Left foot forward for low runner's lunge. We're just warming up the legs a little bit here. Back to that nice alignment. Left knee is tracking over your left ankle. Strength is coming from the right leg, so really lift up through the outer right thigh. Engage the glutes. Engage your core. One more breath. And then left foot back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and walk your feet up to the front of the mat. Come into a forward fold, Uttanasana. All right, in Uttanasana, I'm going to bring the feet at least hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. You can use your blocks if you'd like, either way. And just start to let the head hang down. We're going to sway gently from side to side. Feel as if your head is as heavy as a bowling ball, which it actually is, by the way. It's about 8 pounds or so, so it's like having a bowling ball up on top of your tiny little spine at the top. So it feels really good to just let it down and just gently sway from side to side. Give yourself a nice soft breath. And then come back to center. Slide your hands up your shins. Come into Ardha Uttanasana, a nice flat back. So in our flat back, we're creating energy up through the spine, out the crown of the head, and then back through the tailbone. Nice breath here. Once again, hinge forward and fold. And then press down through your feet, come all the way up. Let's do a nice morning stretch, arms reaching up and over. And then bring your hands to your sides. All right, so we're going to use our block now for a first demonstration of these adductors. So go ahead and grab a block if you have it. Hopefully, I'm just going to say block. Shilpi, if you have something else you're using, just use that instead. Hopefully you do have some blocks. Good, perfect. All right, I won't worry about you then. So take your block, and we're going to place that block right in between the thighs. All right, so starting off in Tadasana, I'm going to turn to face you, just so it's a little easier. Starting off just with awareness in Tadasana. So mountain pose, take a look down at your feet. Go ahead and bring those feet down as if they're little suction cups down onto your mat. As you do, take a look at your foot position. If your feet are slightly V'ing out, like in a V, make a little correction and make sure that the outer edges of your feet are parallel to the outer edges of your mat. Often this means that we create a position that feels a little bit pigeon-toed. But when you do this, you're going to feel those adductors start to kick in, because it does bring your energy toward the center line. So already I can feel that difference just from that little micro change. So with proper feet position for Tadasana and having that block in the center, squeeze in, feel that squeeze, really get those adductors fired up, and then see if you can bring additional awareness up the core. So we're drawing all that energy toward the center of the body and up. So everything from here to here is nice and engaged. All right. So just for a moment, let's enjoy this Tadasana position by softening the shoulders, just allowing the arms to drape down by the side. Take a breath in, but don't release the engagement in the legs and core. Breathe in and out. All right, so from our Tadasana, we're going to take this same action and we're going to put it into play for our forward fold. So I'm going to turn back the other way. So from our forward fold, keeping all this in place, we're going to inhale, bring the arms up and overhead. And then as you fold forward, keep those legs engaged, fold forward, squeeze, 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 reach down. If you typically use a block, you can bring just one down to land your hands on, or your fingers can reach down toward the mat. Now in your forward fold, you'll notice that squeezing action going on. And then just for a second, see if you can let it go
Don't let go of the block, but just see if you can let go of the squeeze. And look what happens to your knees and your tops of your thighs. So squeeze in and watch them rise. Let go and watch them drop. So squeeze and drop. So squeeze and then hold them there. So that squeezing action, that drawing in and up of the energy through those adductors is what I want you to be very cognizant of as we move through the practice and moving forward. All right, so let's go ahead and come up. We've been upside down quite enough. Keep squeezing in. Lift yourself all the way up slowly. Nice stretch. And then hands back down to the side. So now go ahead and take that block away. So this is always the interesting part, is once you've created that awareness in your mind and you've felt those connections fire up, then it becomes much easier to engage that and bring that back into play in our usual pose. So go ahead and just keep everything where it was. We've just now removed the block. Again, squeeze in, lift those thighs and the adductors. Arms are going to reach up on your inhale. And once again, holding all that in place, see if you can forward fold, coming into Uttanasana with that lift in the thighs, just as we did before. Keep that in place. Inhale, come up halfway, nice flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and forward fold. All right, hands down, let's step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, knees down, exhale, child's pose. So we're not in the same room, so it's a little hard to ask these questions, but hopefully you felt the difference from just that little bit of training with the block and then moving through that the second time. So see if you can keep that in mind. All right, inhale, come forward, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward. Come back to Uttanasana, forward fold. Keep squeezing. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lift up all the way, arms up and over. Exhale, hands by your side. All right, we're going to do one more demonstration with the block, and then we're just going to actually go through a little bit of a flow. I want us to do the same thing with a chair pose. All right, so we're going to bring that block back into the thigh. We can bring our feet to our proper position, parallel. Bring the arms up, reach, and then coming into chair, we're going to do the same thing. Now, it doesn't matter how far you sit down, so just start to bend your knees. See if you can imagine your tailbone lengthening down. You can just go a little ways if you like, but I want you to squeeze those inner thighs. You'll feel the entire core get fired up when you've got that action going. All right. One more breath, keep squeezing that block. Inhale, lift up, release the arms down. Remove the block, place it back in the front. One more time now without the block. Inhale, arms up. And now pretending that that block is still there, pretending with that same action, see if you can come into your chair with more awareness of that core center. One more breath. Inhale, come up, and release and forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale and fold. Step back, downward facing dog. All right, let's start to move just a little bit. Take a nice breath in. And then inhale, let's bring the right foot forward, coming into low runner's lunge.
With the right foot forward, we're going to stay on the ball of the left foot. Lift up through the back of the left thigh. I want you to squeeze those thighs together just like we did. Almost pretend like there's an imaginary block there. See if you can let go with your fingers and bring your hands out to airplane arms. Use that core strength. Bring those hands down. Walk them around to the left side of the mat, coming into a wide leg forward fold. Same action. Outside of the feet are parallel. Energy coming up through the midsection of the body. Inner thighs are lifting and squeezing up. So you can try that out again just in this position of letting go with the inner thighs. Watch everything drop and then lift them up, and you can immediately feel the strength that's engaged. One more breath here. Go ahead and take your left hand and slide it over toward your right foot. Bend your right elbow and drop your left shoulder down. Let's get a little stretch in the upper body. We don't want to forget that tonight. Inhale, bring both hands back up underneath, and then take your right hand, slide it toward your left foot. Drop that right shoulder down and fold. Back to the awareness of those adductors holding you strong, even as you're enjoying the stretch in the shoulders. Inhale, hands come back to center. Walk back around to the front of the mat. Come back into low runner's lunge. Left foot comes forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lift up all the way. Arms are going to reach up and overhead. Exhale, hands down to the side. Lift your right leg up off of the mat. Cross that right leg over the left. If you need to tap your your right toes down for balance, then do so. You're going to bend your left knee and you're going to squeeze your thighs together. So it's like you're sitting in a chair with your legs crossed, but they're squeezing really tightly. This is an eagle leg position. I'm not going to bother with the arms right now. Inhale, come up. Arms are going to reach up, and then exhale and fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Step back, downward facing dog. All right. Nice long stretch in down dog. Inhale, bring the left foot forward between the hands, low runner's lunge. Lift up, find your foundation. Squeeze those thighs toward each other. Lift up to fingertips. Find your core strength and see if you can lift it up and bring your arms to airplane arms. Exhale, bring the hands back down. Walk your hands over to the right side of the mat this time. Coming back into that wide leg forward fold. Drop your head down. Release and relax your neck. But lift those thighs back up. Coming back into that strength and stability. Right hand is going to slide over to the left. Drop your right shoulder down. Just release your head. Take a nice long breath. Inhale, slide the right hand back under for support. Left hand is going to slide over to your right foot. Drop that left shoulder down. Deeply breathing. Slide the left hand back up under. Walk your hands around back to the front of the mat. Come to your low runner's lunge once again. Right foot comes forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, come back all the way up. Arms reach up and over. Exhale, hands by your side. Bring your weight into the right leg. Lift the left leg up. Cross the left thigh over the right. Bend the right knee. Sit down. You can tap those left toes down for stability. I just want you to get the squeezing action toward the center. So eagle is, especially if we were doing the arms as well, eagle is really one where you could just feel all those forces pulling inward toward each other. And how strong do you feel when that occurs? One more breath. Inhale, come back to Tadasana. Arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale and lift. Exhale and fold. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, drop the knees. Press back for a breath in child's pose. Nourish your body with a long, smooth breath. Pay attention to these transitions. They're just as important as the sexier parts of the practice, the poses, the asana. Sometimes the magic happens when we stop and pause. All right, inhale, come back up to hands and knees, press back, downward facing dog. Bring your right leg forward between your hands, come back to low runner's lunge. From our low lunge this time, we're going to drop the left knee. You can choose to uncurl the toes or you can leave them flat. It's really your choice in Anjaneyasana. But we are going to lift up. Bring your hands to the tops of your right thigh to start. Once again, even though the thighs aren't together, we're squeezing those adductors toward the center line of the body, engaging the core, providing the stability for this pose. Lifting up, hold all that in place. Nice breath, reach those arms up. Bring your left forearm to the top of your right thigh. Right arm sweeps out and reaches behind you. Your thumb is up, gaze over and see if you can glance at your right hand. Little twist. Bring that right hand back. Bring it down to the mat. Start to walk the hands back. We're going to lengthen and straighten the right leg. So this time we're going to give it a stretch on the outside of the leg and really press back into that right hip. Press it back, draw the left hip forward, and then fold over your right leg. Just trying to balance everything out. All the emphasis has been on the inside, but we want to stretch and pay attention to the outside muscles as well. And then start to walk your hands forward. Frame the front foot once again. Lift the left leg up. And we're going to straighten both the right and the left leg, but you're going to hop the left leg forward, coming into pyramid pose. I recommend using blocks for pyramid. Most of us can get a much better alignment when we do. Once again, press back through the right hip. Really press back and you'll feel the proper alignment of the hips as they balance each other out and are square toward the front. One more breath here. And then we're gonna soften the right knee, step forward, come back into Uttanasana, forward fold. And then we're gonna lift up. As we lift up, we're gonna lift the right leg up as we do. Arms are gonna reach up, knees gonna reach up, and then exhale. Tap the right foot down, sway the arms down. Inhale, kind of a little dancing move here, flowing. Arms up. Exhale, foot down, arms sweep back. Inhale, arms and foot up. And this time we're going to keep the foot up. We're going to bring the right knee out to the right. And so we're opening the hip. If I can show this way, it's a little easier. So it's like this. It's not like this. It's now like this. So with that action, now awareness to that inner thigh once again. Left arm comes around the waist, right arm comes up. And then switch the arms. Switch, switch, keep squeezing those inner thighs. You'll feel that's the key to this core stability. And one more switch. And then bring that right foot down. Whew. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. We call that dancing Shiva. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Step back, downward facing dog. One more little flow sequence to balance out on the other side. So from here, we'll take the left foot forward between the hands, come into our low runner's lunge. From the low lunge, we're going to drop the right knee down this time. Again, choice to uncurl the toe or leave those toes up, whichever makes you feel more stable. And then squeeze your inner thighs together, use that core strength, lift your hands and simply let them rest on the top of the left thigh to begin. Then you can bring the arms up, tailbone lengthening down, feel your heart lift. I go with the flow without any expectation of where it will lead. Exhale, bring the hands back down to the mat. Walk them backwards, straighten out the left leg. Press back into that left hip and then fold over the left leg. Two more breaths here. And moving directly from Hamanasana to pyramid pose, walk your hands forward, lift the right leg up. We're going to pop that right leg forward. We're going to straighten the left leg. Find your blocks again. Come into pyramid pose. Square the hips to the front. Right hip draws up, left hip falls back. Flatten out, lengthen through the crown of your head as if your head's being pulled forward, forward, forward. Feel that stretch. And then step the right foot forward, forward fold. This time we're going to come on up. Inhale, we're going to lift the left leg up as we do, coming back into that sweet little dancey, graceful flow. Arms sweep down. Inhale, arms and knee up. Takes balance, it takes core strength to do this nice and slow. Looks simple, but it engages everything we've been working on. And then your next time up, we're going to keep the leg up. We're going to bring the left foot over to the right, open up the hip. Right arm comes around the waist, left arm comes up like you're a ballerina. Your left foot is flexed, and then switch the arms. Switch, switch. Keep it going if you can, dancing Shiva. One more. That inner thigh's talking to you, isn't it? Mine is. And then bring that left leg down. Inhale, let's stretch up, reach up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale and fold. Go ahead and step back, downward facing dog. Come on, forward, knees down. Pivot on your left leg, bring the left foot off the mat to the left. Transfer the weight into your left palm, open the heart to the right, lift your right arm up, come into stargazer. See if you can lift that right leg up, hip height, press through the heel. Bring the hand and the foot down, come back to tabletop. And from here, we're gonna go through the same thing on the other side. So bring the foot off of the mat. We're going to open up, lift the left leg up, and then perhaps lift that leg all the way and press through the heel. Using those glutes and inner thighs. Unwind, come on down, come back to tabletop, press back to a sweet extended child. Nice, long, slow breath. All right, come on forward. All right, since we used those inner thighs really nice and strong tonight, we're gonna get a little stretch with them too. So let's come into Upavista Konasana, also known as dragonfly or fan pose. So coming into this seated posture, feel free to bring a blanket underneath your seat if that's more comfortable for you. But just come into a nice wide leg fold. We're going to take the right hand on the right shin. Left arm's going to reach up. Open up the side body. Bend the right elbow. Look up underneath your left armpit. Stretching here. Feet are flexed. Your legs are still engaged. Inhale, come on up, and let's go the other side. Come on up to center, both hands now in front, and just slide those hands forward. They can walk forward to whatever degree you are comfortable. You can bring a block or two. Forearms can stack on the block if you wish. And this time I'm just going to suggest that you let the head round forward. See if you can release and relax a little bit. You can let go of the engagement in the legs. Just start to feel the stretch and the release of the tension, the tightness. Nice semi-restorative version of this pose. Bit longer. And fold forward a little bit more if you feel that there's more space. Said when we treat things as a restorative pose, we try to let go of everything that's controlling, and we just let the body go into whatever shape,
whatever it needs to do. Let go of expectation. Just all right. Go ahead and start slowly walking up the spinal column like it's a staircase, coming back up to center. Swing those legs around. And we're going to roll on down. Go ahead and bring a block with you. I have one other little trick up my sleeve before we're done. Go ahead and let the back come all the way down on the mat. Just take a breath here for a moment. Let everything release. And then we're going to come into waterfall pose, but we're going to do it with one more little block demonstration. So waterfall is it's a non-supported legs of the wall. So your legs are going to come straight up off of the mat. Now a lot of times there's a tendency to let them come forward. We're going to try to see if we can bring them. I'm not sure if mine are pretty straight, I think. We're going to see if we can try to bring them straight up. So your body is creating an L shape. So this is where the ankles and the knees and the hips are all just stacked. So with your block, bring that block now between the ankles or between the feet, wherever you can find to support. So instead of being between the inner thighs, they're between the feet. But I want you to take just a moment before we come into a relaxing version of this and see if you can turn on those adductors one more time. So just holding that lightweight block, there's no real weight involved, but it just brings the awareness to the center channel of the body. Turn on those adductors, feel them engage. And if you stay here long enough, you would feel this pretty intensely, even though it doesn't really feel like you're doing that much. One more breath. Release the block, let that block to the side. And now if you want to, you can just come into more of a relaxing waterfall. Couple more breaths. Go ahead and bring the knees down, bring the feet down to the mat. Heel toe the feet out to the sides of the mat and just let your knees fall in and the thighs fall in toward each other. Hammock pose, just let everything release. No need to squeeze or engage. We're just kind of letting everything collapse in on itself. Give yourself a pat on the back for all the work you did in practice tonight. And then heel toe the feet back to hip distance. Cross the right leg over the left. Arms come into a T off the shoulder. Let's drop both knees over to the left. A little stretch in the glute muscles. Twist in the mid-body. Inhale, bring the knees back up to center, uncross, cross them the other way, left over right. Drop both knees over to the right.
everything up to center. Uncross your knees. Let's go ahead and just relax all the way down. Use your bolster if you like, or lay flat out for Shavasana. And as you're laying here in just the next few minutes of mindful reflection, pause to ask yourself if you had an expectation for your practice tonight. When you started, did you expect or desire a certain type of movement or practice? And if you did, or even if you didn't, did you allow yourself to just go with the flow? Embracing each new moment, each new suggestion for movement and awareness. This is what we mean by living in each moment in presence, without that expectation for outcome. It frees your mind. It releases resistance. And if we can learn to do this off the mat as well, then we can learn to live a much more peaceful, less stressful type of existence. To wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring yourself back to awareness of your mat, your space. Offer yourself yourself some energy in the body and maybe bend your knees. It might feel good to hug your knees into the chest. Maybe even rock back and forth a little bit. And whenever you're ready, come back up. And we'll close our practice in Sukhasana. Let's bring the arms up. Reach them up and overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down to the heart center, bowing in Anjali Mudra. May you find peace of heart in all you do, peace of mind as you go through your day. Om Shanti. Thank you so much for practicing, and namaste.